Oh, wait. Before I bring Zander up, I got to get my soundbite ready here because now me and Zander are going to hit on accountability here with this. Because first we'll talk a little bit about what he said, but the soundbite here. Let me pull this bad puppy up here. Okay, and here I'm going to play it. Then we're going to bring Zander up. Zander, come up while it's being played here.
Came to pass protection with Jason Kelsey under center, but now with the passing of the torch to 25-year-old third-year center Cam Jurgens, Hurts will have a more important role in things like picking up the blitz. Here's Hurts on the post-Jason Kelsey era.
We had a great player in Jason Kelsey who took on a lot of responsibility, and as a result of that, I was told not to worry about a lot of things. And so my eagerness to learn and all of that over the years, kind of was halted because of who we had. But times are different, and I'm excited for that journey.
In the NFC, Jalen Hurts.
Okay. Zander Krause from Bird 365 jumps aboard with us here.
What up, Big Sills?
Well, after getting the clip and everyone saying that, people here at JAKIB, most notably Big Sills, misrepresented Hurts's comments, and I took the stuff out of context. After you listen to that, there's two parts of this. He's not wrong.
There's actually three parts.
Okay, go ahead. Give me your takeaway on it. By the way, let me get this. Damn, Sills, no Diddy. Shut up. I should know I shouldn't have gone there with that. You guys are losers. Who's the other guy, too, that we missed another super chat? Get your minds out of the gutter, please, okay? We're trying to have a normal conversation with some of you, but some of you can't do it, all right? Oy vey.
All right, three parts in my opinion, and you hit on two of them. Well, you really hit on all three of them. But the one part is he's right. You're not going to develop when you're not, when you're not given something to work on to develop. Now, I don't think that that's a black and white thing where, okay, I'm told I wasn't do it, so I'm not going to do any of it. The second part is it is an organizational problem, and you talked about that recently, like here on the show, where you said you pointed to the problems with the organization and their approach and how they did it with Wentz and all those things. The third problem, which I believe is the biggest problem, is the accountability of Jalen Hurts. You can talk about the organizational issues, but at the end of the day, Jalen Hurts did have an MVP caliber season in 2022.
Are you talking character?
I'm not talking character. Well, I guess you could argue it's a part of his character.
Is it accountability character?
I guess you could argue it is. I think there's been a trend, and everybody was ripping me in the chat on Birds 365 this morning because I didn't tell them what they wanted to hear. All I'm saying is, even as an objective fan, and by the way, I projected this guy to win the MVP yesterday on this show.
And 15
Don't
games.
start acting like I'm some Jalen Hurts hater.
And 15 games. Don't forget 15 games.
It was 14. Sills, get it right, Sills.
14-3.
I projected this guy to win the MVP. But when I look at the trends here, you go back to that Seattle game. You go back to the OTAs in the summer. You even go back to after they got bounced in Tampa and his press conference after that game. And then you listen to him here talk about some of the problems we've talked about with him with the reading and the defenses and the blitzes. Now he's putting it on Jason. All I'm saying is there's a trend here where Jalen Hurts skates by the accountability. We talked about it a little bit yesterday where, hey, maybe he is doing it behind the scenes. He is taking accountability, or he is doing it in his locker room. I have no way to know that. But when you go up on the podium and you say what you said, and not only do you not take accountability, but you put the accountability at someone else or something else's doorstep, now you've opened the can of worms. If you go up there and you don't say anything, right, okay, we can only speculate. But when you say what you said, now you have me questioning, is your belief that you have no accountability in this? Because even if it was Kelsey, and even if that's what it wanted to be, are you telling me that you're the quarterback of the football team and you can't have a conversation with Jason Kelsey or your coaching staff or your owner, and you're making $50 million and you can't say, hey, I need to learn more here, or I need to put myself in a better position to succeed in the long term? That is beyond me. That we are, as grown men, there's no conversations happening in the room. Maybe they were happening, but it doesn't seem like they were, by the way by the way he's talking about it. And I think that's a bit of a problem. I really do. I think it's not something that should be going to the radar. I don't think it's an indictment. I don't think it's we're screwed, but he's your franchise quarterback, man. It's we when we lose and it's we when we win and it's me when we lose. That's the mentality that most leaders take, whether it's football, whether it's politics, whatever it is in life, whether it's a military general, it doesn't matter. Being a leader is more than just, being the guy, being paid as the guy. Being called a leader is more than just a title. It's more than just being the quarterback of the team. It's actually owning it. It's actually doing the things that it takes to be a leader. And when you go up on the podium and you put it all over it's the new offense. Oh, I couldn't learn it with Jason. Oh, I didn't take any of the accountability in the Seattle game. You're not being the leader. You might be the leader of the team, but you're not being the leader. There's a big difference. And I think there's a problem with that. And I think anybody that views it objectively and zooms out a little bit says, yeah, I don't love that. And that's all I'm at on it. I'm not saying that I don't think he's going to be a great quarterback. I think he's going to be phenomenal. I think he's going to be way better than Sills is projecting him to be.
Completely.
But I do think that's a little bit concerning. That's all. I don't.
He's never in a million years ever set pass protection for an NFL football game in his life.
Yeah, but we had a comment early in the show and you missed it. And I think JM is still.
By the way, Prince, 365 is a great show, but thanks for the $5. Go ahead.
Wait, did we miss a super?
No, don't worry.
Skipped out. I'm getting it because Prince is one of our best our most loyal listeners.
He's an asshole, but go ahead.
He can be an asshole, but that's what makes Prince great. That's what makes Big Sills great. He can be an asshole. So, Prince, love you, brother. Appreciate that comment. We had a comment earlier in the show that you missed, and JM, I believe JM is still in here. I hope you're in here, JM.
I hope he's not too. He's another one. Go ahead.
Well, no, he said at the start of the show, and it was a great comment, and nobody reacted to it, but I did put something back in the chat that I agreed with him. He said, if you're an intern and you're told your only job is to get coffee, are you just going to get coffee and not learn about anything else? And it's not the perfect comparison, but in a way you can take it. It's a microcosm of that, where you're the quarterback.
That's not how he sounded, though. He sounded like he didn't take any accountability or
That's what I'm saying. He sounded like I didn't learn a thing because it was all on Jason Kelce.
So you think he was being spiteful because it wasn't given to him?
I don't
because
know
Xander, spiteful. You're right. You and me are going to go like this. Well, eventually, because I heard John McMullen say this morning. John goes, well, shit, you knew this was coming this day. This day was coming. Weren't you prepared for it? Sounds to me like he went like this. You don't want me involved with the offense? You don't want me to be involved and have my opinion in the offense? Well, guess what? It's all on you guys. That's why when he said 95% new, Xander, there's the comment right there where this offense now for the first time, they asked my opinion on what I thought. That guy for the last 3 years, I don't think it's spiteful. I just think he went like this. They don't want me to be part of it. I'm not.
Yeah, but it's not
he
spiteful.
Didn't prepare for it.
It's not spiteful, but it's approaching it. Because you look at it and you're like, if you had a disdain, and the word choice that he used was halted or halted, right? My eagerness to learn was halted. So it's almost like I wouldn't have done it that way, but that's what they wanted me to do. And now with Jason out the door, you are. By the way, let me bring up this comment here from Bob, because this is an excellent comment. Bob says the real issue with the statement is that Hurts said he has an eagerness to learn, but when he was told don't worry about it, he didn't worry about it. Hurts' growth is on Jalen Hurts, and he's spot on with that. You can't just, one of the things that, and maybe this is a faulty understanding from my point of view, but in my life, I try and be a very open person. For example, me and you, we have candid conversations at times that maybe aren't so easy to have. With my woman, with my family, whatever it is. I believe approaching it with the truth and speaking about the hard things will ultimately lead you to the best place, even if it's hard to go through at the time. Is Jalen Hurts afraid? What you got paid $200 million? No,
this comes back to your accountability thing. This comes back to your accountability.
And you marched this team to the Super Bowl, and you're telling me somebody told you to not learn how to read a defense and you just said, okay, that goes back to the accountability, Bob. Right? I mean, if you're saying don't worry about it, and then he didn't worry about it, and now he's blaming it on that, there's a sense of entitlement there where he wasn't accountable for wanting to learn that just because he did as he was told.
Jalen can't handle failure. He's not very good at it.
Look, you know, it
He's
is
just
press.
not.
At the end of the day, it wasn't even a press conference. It was on WIP on their fan fest. You know, this is like a big fundraiser. This is supposed to be glazing the Eagles all day.
But that's what makes it even more weird is that it wasn't a press
It was
interview.
a weird choice of words.
And a weird setting.
And if you
At
listen
a telethon?
if you listen to the clip, you know,
Here.
the one thing I like about Jalen Hurts, I've listened to it enough, please, Sills. Good Lord. You've played it 42 times on the show.
Well, that's what happens when people start when they stop misrepresenting what I'm saying.
Jalen is a calculated person, and I like that about him. And he means what he says, and he says what he means. At least for the most part, that's what it seems. You know, you have those memes that go around all the time from the NFL, the Jalen Hurts isms or whatever they are, and you know, flush it. And some of the other stuff he said, like he's very intentional about what he says. So for him to say that, and it's not like he was speaking quick, like he was slow and calculated in that delivery, and he said that, and I'm just like, he said that for a reason. And I do think there might be an underlying problem there with him not seeing himself as the problem in any of this. And maybe he's not the problem, but it goes back to what I said about someone calling you a leader and then being a leader. It's different. Being a leader is different than being called a leader or being anointed a leader from a contract or just because you're the quarterback of the team. Being a leader is different than calling yourself a leader or being looked at as the leader. Actually embodying what that means having a sense of accountability in everything. If you're the true leader of the team, you could argue it would make sense, and it's obviously wouldn't fall on his doorstep. He would take fall for the defense. He's not even a defensive player, but that's what being a leader of men is.
Listen to Mahomes.
Right? It's your team. It's your team. At the end of the day, everything comes to your doorstep, whether it is on you or not. And I think him skating by that is a little bit of an issue. Hopefully it's not a big issue. I think it's something we can
get
by.
And the Philly media not pressing him on it too. I mean, you need to ask him that question because here's what I would also say to you, Zander. If you're Nick Sirianni in the locker room now, and you heard that bite that's going around nationally now, and you heard that your quarterback development was stunted because of the lack of not being able to learn one of the major keys on reading defenses was picking up blitz pressure, and your development was stunted and you didn't have to worry about any of that. Isn't that an indictment also on the coaching staff and organization itself? And you still got the same guy in the locker room. If you're Nick Sirianni, how do you feel about your quarterback on August 30th, a week out from going to Brazil and playing a game about the Packers, having a comment that really has no place to be said right now as you're preparing for a new 2024 season? How many times do you and me get accused of this, Zander? Hey, that's old news. Okay, well, Jalen, isn't this old fucking news? You were at a press conference the other day going, what's the Wink Martindale? Where's this coming from? He didn't like the question. He questioned the reporter for asking him. Remember the reporter, what he said? Well, I'm trying to get context. That's what we're doing here. It's context.
Well,
okay.
And the other part of it is it continues to tie in. And this is why I said to me, it's the biggest thing is the accountability. Even if it was Nick Sirianni's fault, even if you despise Nick Sirianni, whatever the case may be, as the leader of the team, you're supposed to fall on that sword to some extent. And the fact that this is not the first time this summer, Sills, that he has made Nick Sirianni look bad in the media.
Oh, 4 or 5 times.
And I'm not even here to back up Nick Sirianni. No. I'm not a big Nick Sirianni guy. But your quarterback should fall on that sword, not continuously stab it into Nick. Whether Nick's at fault or not.
Can I give you where I think this is coming from? His relationship with the owner and the general manager is so strong now that he knows that Nick is incidental. That he knows because anytime he talks, Mr. Laurie, Howie, he even goes to Musmeyer. He talks about the quarterback coach, and then he goes to Nick. Then he goes to Ellen and then Nick. And he's really tight. So, hey, listen, I don't really have to care about Nick's feelings anymore because you know why? The owner has given me, remember what the owner said too in the offseason? I want Hurts to be more Jalen Hurts this coming year. Those were out of Jeffrey Lurie's mouth too. Was he telling him to be more forceful and more of a leader because Kelsey was leaving, that this was going to be more of an opportunity for him? Because I'll tell you what, like you said, I've never seen a head coach shit on more by a quarterback in my entire life than what Hurts has done in this offseason here. He has at least shit on him 5 or 6 times.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And
like you said, whether you like Nick or not,
yes, you're right.
I don't know how that's helping going into 24 next Friday.
You're
how
spot
can
on.
You be an MVP when you still got the cancer? According to Jalen, you still got the cancer in the body.
Yeah, no, you're right. I agree with you 100% on this. So Senor says Nick falls on the sword all the time. What has that done for Nick, Zander? Well, it's done nothing because he doesn't.
His job.
It's no.
It kept his job.
It did, but the other thing it does is he's falling on the sword because he's trying to be the leader. And when you don't have a guy who's in your foxhole, it makes Nick look a whole lot worse. If Jalen Hurts went to the podium and addressed things, not in the same way that Nick does, but from an accountability standpoint we wouldn't be talking about any of this. We wouldn't, because Jalen has Nick's back and Nick has Jalen's back, and that's what makes it work. When Nick has your back and you throw Nick under the bus, you're damn right, Senor. It's made Nick look like a dweeb.
Yep.
But that's not on Nick.
It's on Jalen.
It's on Jalen, who's not backed him up ever.
Has allowed him to burn.
Leadership.
Has allowed him to burn.
I agree. I agree.
Here's something else. Let me ask you this. You know, the big go-to has always been, hey, get this, man. So, Brian Johnson sucked as a coordinator. Brian Johnson never had a chance, Zander. Here's why. Check it out. Jason Kelsey was in charge of the pass protection. Nick was influencing the offense when it came to play calling. How does Brian Johnson become an offensive coordinator when you have so many other voices when it comes to preparing a game plan? The offensive coordinator had no shot of success when you have 2 other guys influencing the game plan. He has no influence of game planning when it comes, because guess why? Stoutland and Kelsey were handling the pass protection. How do you know what play? Look at this too. When Jalen Hurts comes to the line of scrimmage, and Jason Kelsey sends the pass protection, you know what Jalen hears? He thinks it's coming from the strong safety on this side. Hurts might see something completely different. When you snap the ball, all of a sudden, where the pressure's coming from is not where it's hitting. It hits him. He can't audible out. You know why he never audibled? You know why there was never a short passing game? Because Kelsey had complete control of the pass protection. He couldn't audible out of it because you can't audible out of it. Why? Jason set the pass protection. It really hampered him, dude.
No, you're right. You're spot on with this, right, Sills? That's the one part of it.
I'm actually defending Jalen Hurts today.
I think you're right on it too. I mean, look, I think that's why we separated this in the beginning of this conversation, because more than one things can be talked about and be true here. I don't love the accountability I'm seeing from Jalen Hurts. There's no doubt. There's no doubt about it. But what you're saying does add up. That is a problem, and that does hinder a quarterback's growth. I think there should be a different process to approach that problem other than, waiting for Jason to retire. But, I don't know. I guess they're going to do what they're going to do at this point.
Do you get this? Remember, I pointed out to you, and we went over what Devontae and what AJ said yesterday. Remember what those 2 guys said about the offense, 23, what it's going to look like? Both receivers were like this. Well, that's practice. Let's see how this thing looks in a game. He was asked, he goes, I'll let you know in a couple weeks. These 2 guys, do you think they believe that this thing is going to go? Because when I heard those 2 players, it was more of a reserve wait and see how this offense was going to be something that was going to move forward. Because, again, Zander, Jalen Hurts in his entire 5-year NFL career, I know it was short in the first year when he first got here. It was later in the year he took reps, Atlanta, New Orleans. I got all that. But what I'm saying, 5 years in, he's never set a pass protection in his entire NFL career. Never. That's a new thing added to the plate. And I got to wonder, again, if those two guys on the outside are going like this, can he do it? He's never done it. Hey, I can't sit here.
I'll tell you what, boy.
30th. I can't sit here on August 30th and go, he won't do it. But I can sit here on August 30th going, I've never seen him do it.
I'll tell you what, Sills. You know, one of our first interviews together, when I first started doing content on air, people think I'm new. I've been on this channel. I started this channel. I've been on behind the scenes for 3 years. When I first started doing content, which was about 4 or 5 months ago, probably now, I said to you, this is a sink or swim year for Jalen Hurts. And this has become more and more and more true because now Jalen has made his bed. And he's going to have to lay in it. Now, if he answers the bell, if he answers the call and has a big year,
all over.
It's all over. Jalen gets credit. Jalen, it's an amazing work. All good.
And then there will be more institutional. Then there'll be more institutional and more managerial criticism that they held him back even more for 3 years.
If this thing works, though, he's going to get the
credit. If he throws for
4,600
yards this year and 38 touchdowns, I'm going to kill that organization for stunting his growth.
Yes, and you'd be right to do so. But look, he did have an MVP caliber year in 22. You can't, part of it was when you're an organization, you play into what you have. So, it's almost like a what came first, the chicken or the egg. If Jalen was struggling in his first couple years, like every single quarterback ever does when they first come into the NFL, this isn't a knock on Jalen. They go to the RPO. They accentuate his talent and his athleticism. They use his legs a little bit more. They created that offense maybe partly because they were working their young quarterback into the game. So you could argue they hindered it maybe last year, but I wouldn't say overall they hindered it. That's why I think it's an accountability thing. At the end of the day, the organization is going to play around your strengths. If you never make your strengths being another type of player, they're going to continue to put you in what they have you in. If you never show that you can read the defense or call out the protections, they're never going to put that on your plate.
You bring the point up, though, about 22, and RPO doesn't have to set pass protection. Jalen,
they removed it from the game.
They removed it from the game plan. They removed that decision making, basically, even from Jason Kelce.
And I don't think that's a knock on the organization. That's where I'd push back. Like if Hurts does blow up this year,
that's why Shane knew the right offense for him.
Well, I do think that was an offense that didn't need to be forever for Jalen. So it's almost a switch of like evolving into that next quarterback. And that's why I've talked about why I love Jalen Hurts, or not Jalen Hurts, why I love Kellen Moore so much, because it pushes Jalen to be into that pro style offense, into that next phase of his quarterbacking career, which I've never had a problem with. Most quarterbacks take time to learn the NFL. It's not uncommon. This isn't even a knock on the guy's play. I'm more knocking the way he's dismissed it all and put it at the doorstep of the coach.
You got a bigger problem.
You got
a bigger problem with the accountability more so than how he's been coached.
Well, because I believe that leads to bigger problems that you don't want.
So you can't ever see all of it.
Exactly. If you can't ever see anything as something you should do differently, you're basically beholden to what everybody around you does. That's not what leaders do. Leaders don't let the people around them make the moves. Sometimes leaders have to do unpopular things. Sometimes you have to put yourself and put your people, your teammates first, and go through those hard things to get to the promised land, to get to where you want to get to. If you don't have any of that, this is just going to be a rotating wheel forever. It's Brian Johnson this year. It's Nick Sirianni next year. It'll be the new coordinator. It'll be Doug Nussmeier. It'll be Kellen. It'll be everybody else. You're not addressing the root problem. And that's where I don't like the accountability part of it, because I think that has bad implications when you're the leader of a football team. If you told me this was AJ Brown, I'd say, who gives a shit? Go get me 1,600 yards and make the catch when I need you to make the catch. You're the quarterback. You're the leader. You're the highest paid guy. There's a different burden on your shoulders than everybody else's shoulders. If you got no accountability in that role, it's not going to work forever. It's just not. That's a tough realization for people, but that's a fact.
Here's one question then you ask yourself this year. Since the organization has showed a propensity not to have patience, what if he's struggling in the first month of the season picking up blitzes? Do
Well,
you
in a
think
way,
they revamp that and go Landon and Cam? They take it
potentially.
back over again? They're not going to let this season sink or swim like they did last year.
Yeah, but
They're just not going to. Will they have the patience to allow him? Because I got to tell you, Zander, picking that up, Brady struggled. How many times you see Brady go back on his back with internal pressure because he didn't identify the proper
You're right.
blitz package? Brady had problems with that all the way to his 25th year.
No doubt.
How is he not going to have issues with it? Will they have the patience to stay with him?
I think they will, and here's why. Because I believe that, in a way, you're correct about Hurts and the front office. I think his relationship with Howie and Jeff is more important than their relationship with Nick. And I think the organization, rightfully so, because he's being paid the most, is valued Jalen above that. So, in a way, they've already created their scapegoat if it doesn't work this year. This is a win-win for Jalen Hurts. You could fail and you're good. You can win and you're good. That's what's been created. And that's what I don't like about it.
That's why those comments now make sense. That get this. Hey, our relationship has been, he's basically making Nick Sirianni the scapegoat if this fails.
Exactly. He's already set it up like that. And that's not what leaders do. I'm sorry. It's just not. That's when you're a leader, you win. You win when your team wins, and when your team loses, you lose. And he's not acting like that at all.
Are you disappointed? Are you disappointed?
I'm somewhat disappointed. I'm more disappointed in this comment than some of the other comments, because some of the other ones I think you could write off as maybe a heat of the moment.
Does he involve Jason?
It was more than that, though. It was the whole sentence of my eagerness to learn was hindered by everybody but me.
And the previous comments adding up.
It just puts it all on everybody else's doorstep. There was no expectation for me to learn, so why would I learn? What kind of mentality is that? I don't think that's a good mentality. Like I said, this isn't. Maybe it sounds now like I'm over the top negative about the guy. I'm not. This is just a segment, so we're talking about it.
Wait a minute. You're picking a fragment of what this guy went through when chips were down. Listen, Jalen Hurts is going to be. He's going to have to figure out how to be a problem solver when things are not going well. To me, you're talking about. You're talking about a guy like Jalen Hurts, and he's a front runner. That's how you talk about front runners. That everything's going great. Everything is great. When something goes sideways, it's everyone else's fault.
It's everyone else.
Those are front runners.
It's all about and people get upset.
That's immaturity.
I agree. Well, I'm not going to say Jalen's immature. I don't know him, so I'm not.
Well, that's an immature comment.
It's an immature comment for sure, and it was a bad choice of words. And it all comes back to this is why I said I care most about the accountability, because when you're a leader, that's what matters. And he's not acting like a leader of men. He's not. He's acting like the leader of Jalen Hurts, not the leader of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Remember, Phil said this: you have to learn how to play with your contract.
Yeah, but it's bigger than that. You got to learn how to lead.
To him, it ain't.
You got to learn how to lead grown men that aren't motivated by all the things that young kids are motivated by. These are grown men making millions of dollars that go home to wives, kids, families, their own personal lives. Motivating those men and being the leader of those men requires you to be exceptional, requires you to be accountable, requires you to understand the magnitude of that position. And I think, by the way, if I'm in that locker room and I hear Jalen say that, I'm like, shit, it's Nick today. It could be me tomorrow. What's he going to do if I mess up? What's he going to do if something else goes wrong? Is he going to be the leader of the team, or is he just going to throw me out on the scrap heap and feed me to the wolves?
Do you think Jalen Hurts stabbed Nick in the back?
I think he's done it several times this offseason, man.
How many times have we
done a show though where we've talked about this?
You think one of the reasons publicly and because of the media and all that, one of the reasons that we have a negative thought process of Sirianni is because of how the media is covering Jalen and not holding him accountable and putting the blame on Nick, when we all know that the front office we just heard it now. The front office on developing the quarterback. That's a front office decision. That's not a Nick Sirianni. Because get this, they developed Carson Wentz the same way.
Yeah, you're right.
This is not a Nick thing.
In a weird way, Sills, it's making me respect Nick a little bit more.
I got it.
Every time that guy gets up there, and I have my problems with Nick. Believe me, you can.
I called him a liar after Seattle, but he was on the sword for his guys.
I've thought of every problem with Nick, but the more you go and listen to Nick, it's all on him. He takes everything, and sometimes he does it, and it really hurts him. It makes people in Philly act like he's a head case and a crappy coach and a Jerry High School or whatever, or a Nicky High School, whatever you want to call. And that's what leaders do. Sometimes you fall on the sword for the betterment of your people, for your team.
Do you think he was throwing a subtle jab at Jalen Hurts this offseason when he kept going like this? Accountability, right? We have everybody in the building that has to have accountability. Everyone this has been the offseason of accountability.
That's all over their practice facilities. Accountability.
Do you think, again, so wait a minute, he's got a mantra and he's got boards up, like this guy is talking like Bo Schembechler with all these boards up about accountability, and the one player in the building who doesn't take accountability is a quarterback? That's a conflict between those two. Those two guys haven't ironed this out.
No doubt. And the unfortunate reality for Nick is, which, is a different topic, but he's going to be the one scapegoated, not Jalen Hurts. My man, Mr. International.
If that guy gets to an NFC title game and they lose, they're not firing him.
They're not firing Nick. But if they don't succeed or get to that point, if it does look ugly, if there is a breakdown in the middle of the year, if any of the problems that could happen, Nick's the guy who's going to be gone. Not Jalen Hurts.
How about this here? How about if they have a really good year, they trip up in the second round of the divisional game, and they get knocked out in the divisional game, and Hurts has a decent season, and all of a sudden Moore's getting interviewed.
Well, Hurts is going to have a decent season because Hurts is a good player. Hurts is a talented football player.
Okay, that's a great thing. Wait, whoa. So wait a minute. You think there's more of a sample size of Jalen Hurts playing well, or do you think there's more of a sample size of Jalen Hurts playing average?
Well, I think it's a progression of who he's been as a professional.
No. There's a two-sided question here. Do you think that Jalen Hurts has more of a sample size of good football played, excellent football played, or average football played?
Well, he's 34-17 in the league.
I'm asking you, that's a team comment. I'm asking you, do you think there's more of a sample size of him playing excellent ball or average ball?
Well, I think it's pretty close to even. Right? I mean, 22.
He's had 3 years starting.
22 is an MVP. First half of his first year starting, he struggled. Whole team struggled, but he struggled. Second half of that year, he led us into the playoffs after starting 2-5. Solid year, solid progression, and then he goes into 22 and catapults into the MVP race. That is a year and a half period of growth as a player. Okay. Then he starts last year 10-1. That's pretty solid play. Now, he wasn't his best, but he wasn't bad, and then the end of the year he collapsed. So you have the end of last year, you have the beginning of that first year starting. It's close. I mean, I think
you would say he's played really well and he's played really average.
Yeah, I don't think he's ever been bad. I mean, he's a talented player, though.
I didn't say
so
bad.
To your point, though, about if he plays really good this year, he's going to play good, man. He's going to play good enough.
Kirk Cousins is a solid player.
Yeah, I think Kirk Cousins is underrated. I'm waiting to do our list of underrated QBs.
Hey,
he's going to be on mine.
Absolutely, he would be. He would be on that list. You talk about a guy, and I keep saying this. That guy's how about this one, Zander? Has Washington had a better quarterback than Kirk Cousins since he was in Washington?
No way. Not even close.
Right. Let's get rid of Kurt. And I'm like, how you been since he was there?
Yeah, not good.
Hey, man. Great stuff. So, okay, got a week out. What do you make of the players not wanting to go and playing in Brazil? Hey, did you hear Devontae? No comment.
No
and then
comment.
CJ just posted on his Twitter. He goes, "This place is safe."
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why. I don't really understand this one as much. Like the other ones I get where it's like London and Europe and all that
Yeah.
stuff where it's like you want to expand the league.
Mexico City, you kind
You
of
need
get
the
it.
cash registers to go on the
Yeah.
Euro stage and on the
Yeah.
worldwide stage. I don't really get why we're going to Brazil, you know,
They're not
and
wearing
doing this
any
game.
green. They got black helmets.
It's kind of a weird setup. I don't know if the NFL fully thought this one through, but here we are. It's going to happen. I'm not going. Johnny Mac's not going. You're not going. So all of my people are going to be good. We'll be covering the game extensively. And other than that, I'm just here to analyze. It's a business day.
Look
So
at what they did, though. No green helmets, no green jerseys, and black pants and a black helmet.
I'm not overly a fan of the and people are not going to like this. I don't love the black. The black.
You don't like the alternate jerseys?
I just don't love the black pants with the black helmet. It just doesn't remind me of Eagles at all.
Do you like the white helmet? Do you like the white helmet?
We haven't used the white in how long? I mean,
the white and the green and the green feathers. Do you like that helmet?
That's a dope helmet. We haven't used that in long. I don't know if we ever used that. Did we? Even back in the heyday, they used it back in the gang green era.
If they ever used it with Jerome's teams and Buddy's teams. I can't.
The black is trash, man. We're Philly. We're Eagles, man. We're not black. We're not a black team. Come on, Flexen. We're a black.
I like that white helmet though. I'd like to see the
Eagles, but that white is different. I'm talking about the black helmet.
Yeah,
I like green. So I like the white with the green or the green. I like Kelly green. I'm really a Kelly green guy. I'd prefer them go to completely back to Kelly green on their full uniforms, but they're not going to do that with the owner. So
Canes 28, Gators 20.
All right, I'll give you that. I was coming at you yesterday with the Gators, or with the Canes, just because I was trying to get under your skin a little bit. But I think that's going to be a good game. I'm excited for that game. I'll be tuned in for it tomorrow, 3:30 Eastern, Sills, 12:30 your time.
Notre Dame should be good. Clemson, Georgia should be decent.
Yeah, Clemson, Georgia should be pretty good. I don't know. We'll see what Clemson is going to be this year.
Did you watch any of that Colorado game last night?
I didn't, but I went back and caught some of the highlights. That dude, Travis Hunter, boy.
He's the best player in the country. Best player in the country.
What a player with that. What a player that guy is, man. You know,
great.
I think he should definitely go into the league though as a wideout. Go make that money, Travis.
Dude, I don't know, man. That guy is a great cover corner too. You know, he was supposed to go to Florida State. Then they talked him out of it, and he went to Jackson State. Now he's on that shitty Colorado team that won't win more than 5 ball games this year. Shedeur, I mean, he's talking about national champions because you beat a Division One, you did Division 2 team, an FBS team. Come on, man, that team is terrible. Look at all
the snowflakes in the chat. So upset with me for not liking a black jersey. Oh, that upset your feelings, everybody, that I don't like the black jersey. Come on, everybody. Oh, my Lord.
It's like talking about, hey, God forbid you say anything negative about your golden goose, Jalen Hurts, man. I mean, holy shit, you pointed out something that you thought he was being a dick at. There's nothing wrong with that, man. Absolutely. Zander, you doing anything over the weekend? I know we're going to maybe have a couple hits on Monday.
Yeah, so Monday will be no full show. So there's going to be no 2 to 6 National Football Show, no 8 to 10 Birds 365. I'm going to try and do like a 30-minute spot with John and maybe a 30-minute spot with you, just because it's game week. I want to kind of ramp everybody up. But other than that, we're going to be off. I hope everybody has a phenomenal Labor Day, whatever your plans are, gearing up for the football season. I hope you guys get some time with some family or whatever it is. But I'm going to be enjoying, that day a little bit, and I'm ready. So 7 days out, baby. I'm ready for this season.
You bet, man. Hey, don't worry about senior football. You and your jailbait segment, it's all good, my friend.
I'm with you, Yale. Yale, I'm with you. As long as they win, I could give a shit about the uniforms. I'm with you, Yale.
Hit the like button, my friends. Don't forget to catch us a little bit on Monday and have yourselves a great weekend. Great stuff with you and John as we get ready. How about this, Zander?
Oh, Flex. Behave, Flex. Flex,
hey,
come on, man.
Next Friday, dog, football. Actually, Thursday.
Yeah.
It's
that Thursday game.
Chiefs.
That Thursday game is going to be electric, Sills. Electric.
Hey, before you go, I wrote these games down here. Check it out. Tell me if you agree. The top games for week 1 next week. I've got Baltimore, Kansas City 1. I've got Green Bay, Philly 2. I've got the Jets in San Francisco on Monday night 3. I got Dallas, Cleveland on Sunday 4, and I've got the Rams and Detroit on Sunday 5.
Ooh, those are a good 5, boy. That's San Francisco, New York. Is that the Monday night game?
Yes, it's in San Fran too, and you might not have Trent Williams there.
Ooh.
You imagine if Rodgers pulls that off on the road. He went to Cal.
I would love to see Rodgers beat the whining 49ers. Is Nad in here? Nad, how's it feel that you're going to start 0-1, my friend? Nad, there he is. How's it feel, Nad? You're starting 0-1, my friend.
Well, you're starting 0-2, so it's all good.
Oh yeah, now the lowly Atlanta Falcons are going to beat the Philadelphia
Dude,
Eagles.
the lowly Hawks beat you a year ago. Come on, Junior.
Any given Sunday, baby. New year, I think Eagles win that game.
Should be awesome. Zander, great stuff, brother. Appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you, Sills. Thanks, everybody in the chat. Hit that like button. Appreciate all you guys.
You guys are awesome, man. Please hit that like button. Xander and John, don't forget, Birds 365 on Tuesday, full show. We'll do something short on Monday. We appreciate it, guys. Hit that like button. Keep it here, National Football Show.
Michael Vick at BetUS.com. Catch an incredible 125% sign-up bonus on your first 3 deposits, plus 10% gambler's insurance. BetUS, my online sportsbook and casino.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.